for driving innovation and scaling high-growth companies. He successfully led an IPO that raised over $50 million and closed 2 additional multi-million-dollar private funding rounds. One of his most notable ventures pioneered the technology behind variable pricing on the internet, ultimately leading to a $120 million acquisition. With a proven track record in launching and exiting companies, Fred now serves as the founder of Sahara, where he continues to push boundaries and create transformative business solutions for founders with the use of AI. Let's welcome Fred Cary to the stage.
Thanks, Mom.
So, I just got a quick story about Fred here. So I reached out to him randomly on LinkedIn, and I was like, "Hey, Fred, how you doing?" And he's like, "Well, what's up? What do you got for me?" And I'm like, "Well, let's do a little call. I got this group. It's called Acquisition IQ. We're starting to build it. We got a tour that we're going to be scheduling across the nation." And immediately he was like, "Oh, like a rock star. You're like a rock star." And I was like, "Well, I don't know. Maybe not quite yet." But he immediately saw the vision, and he also invested as being a founding member. So it's cool to have people like you that believe in a vision, and that you're able to then inspire others, but also, put your money where your mouth is as well. So I'm sure there's a lot of things I'm thankful for you for that. But also I'd like to get in a little bit more on where you're at, but also what has got you to the point where you are today.
Sounds awesome. And yeah, it was a great call, and I immediately got really good feedback from you, your energy, your character and everything, so I'm really happy to be here. But before we get started, how many people out here are investors? Anybody? Okay. So you guys are going to be wrong 90% of the time. And how many of you guys are founders with new companies? Okay. Your companies are not going to look anything like what you think they're going to look like a couple of years from now. So that, which is, by the way, why I started Sahara. We reduce venture failure by 50%, and we start for a couple $100 a month, mind you, with AI. We take startups and make them flawless. So it's been a big journey to get to this point. Always looking for problems, always looking for issues in solving those problems. If you have a company, you want to solve a problem that's out there in a field that is growing well. There's competitors that are billion-dollar companies, and there's a fracture in what you're building. You find that fracture, build to that fracture, and you'll be successful. Like the 10 companies I started, I took two public. I had 2 acquired by public companies, and I have one that's doing close to $1 billion a year now, and none of it had anything to do with genius. It had to do with finding something that's already working, but only has 3 wheels, and you find the 4th wheel.
Share with us a little bit more about value creation within a business, and then of course you've gotten to a point where you've had an IPO and then you've also had an exit. But share with us a little bit more on your philosophy on value creation within a company.
If you go get investor dollars, the first thing we're going to talk to you about, well, 2 things. They talk about product market fit, and they talk about you having a moat. And the moat is what's going to protect your business. Moats are starting to disappear. So I would just say, go to market first, go to market fast, get in there, find loyal people that are your customers, your clients. On the other part of it, what accelerates you as a business is to find the very smallest thing that you can do in a big world. Find the smallest thing you can do in your sector and own it. If you can go in there and own one little piece of it, you're going to have loyal customers, loyal clients. You get 1,000 of them, 10,000 of them, and then you expand out and build bigger and bigger and bigger. A company we had before this one did all the heavy lifting for entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs would pay us $100,000 a piece and give us 30% of their company. They were always at the idea stage, and invariably they wanted way too much, and they wanted everything to be way too perfect. You got to get out there, and you got to get on the street, and you got to see what works, and then start building your company from what works instead of building the company that your mom says is really cool.
That's incredible advice. I mean, I know that, I'm sure have any of you out there, you've created a company or you haven't actually launched because it wasn't perfect, like it wasn't just right. You ever felt that way? So it's like the paralysis by analysis, and us as I'm a bit of a perfectionist, right? But you've got to realize that, just like what I said earlier today, we're in process, right? And we're in process really right now. You guys are being a part of something that we believe that it's a lot bigger, right? 15 cities. But thank you so much for sharing that. That's very wise of you. There's many people out there that are just building, and they just wanna get to the end before they go through what they need to in order to get there.
Well, nowadays, everything's at our fingertips. So if you're building an app or a website or something of that nature, I want to make my app just like Instagram, or I want to make my business just like this other multinational organization that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars, billions of dollars to get to where they are. Don't look at your competitors or companies you want to be like. Don't look at where they're now. Look at when they started. Instagram is amazing because you can go find founders from almost any business you can think of that are talking about their first days, and often some of those videos are from those first days. The guys at YouTube, they were pissed off. They were sitting around in a room. We have 40 videos. What the hell are we going to do? Are we doing the right thing? You're going to see those stories all the time. Be that YouTube with 40 videos. Don't be the YouTube that is worth billions and billions, because you can't start there. Oh, wait, I have to interrupt for a very important message. Unlike our prior two guests, I did go to jail, and I am an attorney. So.
Ready for the Q&A.
Q&A, she says.
Ex-girlfriend.
Incremental wins will create the big win. I think that, like I was saying earlier, it's when it's not glamorous, just taking one step at a time. It's not an Instagram worthy or social worthy post, and we live in a world that's so focused on what the end goal is. Can you share with us a little bit about your perspective of that statement? I know you have now just a little bit, but now from even a business standpoint, and then we'll start to get into some of your acquisitions and how you've been able to become the way you are.
Well, there's a phrase that I hate using now because I'm a vegan, but it's how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? And that's how you build a business. You find one little step that works for you, and you take that step and you go further. There's one really important element about business that we don't think about often, and that's you can burn the fuck out before you get anywhere near where you want to be ultimately. And one way to eliminate that is to celebrate those tiny little victories. We have 40 videos on YouTube now, that's amazing. We had 30 last week. So celebrate those small victories, and you can do that on a weekly basis. And if you do that, that gives you the emotional fuel that you're going to need, whatever it is that you're creating. It's going to give you the emotional fuel that you need to carry on. Everybody in this room is a failure. We're all failures. Nothing works the first time. Entrepreneurs are crazy people, right? I'm gonna leave my high-paying job, working 40 hours a week with all these benefits. I'm gonna work 120 hours a week with no pay. My wife or my husband screaming at me. My neighbors think I'm an idiot, and I'm gonna fail most of the time. And it was 1,000 tries, not 2,000 tries with Thomas Edison, but that's probably a lie anyway. 5,600 tries for Dyson to get his vacuum cleaner working right. So nothing works right away. So have faith and put your head down and keep going.
There's a common thread here, just never give up. Howard bless us with that, and we've got Fred here just saying the same thing. And I guarantee each and every one of you have been into a precipice, or you've been at that road. There's a Y in the road, right? You know, should I just get a job? Should I just get a job like that? But, you know, speaking from experience, you know that it's way brighter on the other side. You know, it's high risk, high reward, and I would say that entrepreneurship is an amazing world that you can live in, but there's a lot of trials that you've got to go through. Can you speak to the trials that you've gone through, but also how you've been able to, you know, come out of those trials, and then, yeah, share that.
Yeah, so it's all, you're either infallible or you have perseverance, right? And none of us are infallible. So you have to be able to wake up in the morning and say, all right, yesterday sucked, today's gonna be better. And you have to be able to do that repeatedly, and you constantly have to second guess yourself. I know a lot of people don't say that, but if you're not gonna eat your own lunch, somebody else is going to do it, right? So if you're not thinking about recreating, oh wow, there's new technologies in the world now, how do I embrace them into what I'm doing? Especially if you start getting headway, if you're not looking in front or behind you, your competitors are, and they're going to come take you out because you're not making yourself obsolete. So this is some of you should probably go get a job, to tell you the truth, because it is way too hard, and you're constantly failing. And when you get to that top of that mountain, then you got to realize, oh shit, I got 100 people coming up behind me. What am I going to do now? What other bigger mountain can I find and climb? And so it's a continuous journey. Don't ever think you made it. Don't ever think you're successful, because you're not, and you never will.
Hungry but humble, you guys have probably heard that term maybe. Yeah, just continue to be hungry but humble, and then, you know, Howard again with the servant attitude, but also you just ambitious, you know, continuing to go through adversities that come your way. You know, share with us a little bit about burnout. I want to go that direction just for a second, because we've all been there. We've all been in the trenches. We've rolled up our sleeves. We literally don't want to get up, you know, because it's so difficult. And I want you to speak to that moment, and then I want you to bring us all out of it, though, to a place where the light is shining.
Well, you know, the billionaire founder of Canva had over 100 meetings with VCs all over Silicon Valley, and every one of them told her, no, not even close. We don't understand why you're doing this. We don't think it's ever going to be successful. And so with companies like that have gone through the billion-dollar personal success, they all started with the same little cesspool of failure that we're all in. And it really takes this, to be able to pull yourself out, you need to do two things. You need to, number one, you need to understand that you're not meant to win. It's only through your continuous, really hard, novel efforts that change over time that are going to bring you to that victory. So that when you wake up, a la Edison, and you made a light bulb that doesn't work, you're looking at that as an opportunity. I'm going to find a way to make it work. And so that's one way to avoid burnout, because if you instead get frustrated with things that are not working, that's going to take you worse and worse and worse in your mental state of mind. The other thing is, find something you're passionate about. Not everybody has to be a billionaire. Not everybody has to make a ton of money. What is it that you're passionate about? And if you can take what you're passionate about and build a business around that, you're going to wake up in the morning, put your feet on the ground, and just smile. Because you're doing what you feel you're supposed to be doing with your life. So try to conjoin your personal life and your business life with what your passion is in life, and that's going to help you even through the darkest times.
I believe it's the longevity, right? It's not just about a quick overnight success. I mean, they say it's a 10-year overnight success, right? I mean, I swear I'm on year 10. It's coming up here, so. But But it's been long and hard, and people don't know the trials that you've gone through, or many of us. I mean, even here in the room, I'm sure everyone has a story. You guys could be up here, sharing your own story, and as well some inspiring quotes. But so share with us, you've got your past, but you're present now, and you're currently working on some things. But share with us some things you're working on now, and then what you're excited about, and then also how we as a community can support you.
Yeah, so I think Sahara is the coolest thing that I've ever done, and Ira Hayes is our CEO over there in the corner. I'm the executive chairman because I need to slow down at some point in my life. I promised my kids I'd retire by the time I hit 90. It's not that far away. But what I love about Sahara is it's going to help everybody here. Investors, people with startups, people even with more mature companies. Because what we did is we looked at AI and looked at founders and looked at the venture community and try to figure out what are the biggest problems. One of the biggest problems with AI is it continues to grow. It's still this invisible thing, this agent, this something that has no character, no face, no history, and is spewing out information, some of which is hallucinations, and some of it is really spot on, right? So that's a problem. The other problem is it shoots out so much information that we can't do it. We don't have a chance of doing everything it gives us. And the third glaring issue with young startups is you don't know the right questions to ask because you got a million mistakes ahead of you. So you're going to be talking to your AI and saying, hey, I got a great idea, I want to patent it. How do I patent it? And your AI agent's going to tell you exactly how to patent it. If you talk to me, I'm going to tell you, you're out of your mind. You've got to go to an engineer, see if this can be engineered, then go to a manufacturer, see how much it's going to cost to manufacture it, and then go to customers and see if they're going to pay that. That's why 97% of all patents never get made. 97% never get made. And so we took all those elements and we decided we're going to create an environment where a raw startup can be almost infallible. And how we did that is we created this middle layer of, you got the big cesspool of ChatGPT and the rest of them down on the bottom. You have the humans on the top, and we're the middle layer. So I have hundreds of thousands of followers on Instagram, social media, over 100 million views of my content, and we scraped about 10 years worth of my stuff and put it in this middle layer. So now, and by the way, if you guys want to get one of my cards on the way out, we have an alpha AI version of it that you can just call up and ask anything about any of your businesses and what you're doing, what you should be doing. You'll be shocked. It's way smarter than I am, and it's me, but way smarter because but it has everything that's on the internet has instant access to. So it'll tell you about anything from starting a flower shop to building a nuclear submarine and do a good job. So we created this to address those problems, right? You're going to have instant knowledge. The ultimate co-founder really never makes any mistakes. And because we had this kind of overwhelming amount of data that you can have, we decided to spoon feed it to you. We created a dashboard that every morning you're going to get there. These are the 3 things you need to be doing today. Oh, by the way, while you were asleep, one of your competitors announced this new product that has these 3 key features. We've already negotiated with a software company for you to build those things out in half the time they're going to do it. So this environment works really well for you guys who want to start something, and for investors it works really well because you're building better companies that are really well positioned. So I'm really proud of that. And it's like the biggest package is like $249 a month. So it's nothing. I was charging $100,000 to give worse advice than I can give now.
That's exciting, and I know there's a lot of problems that us as founders come up against, and we need solutions. And I wanted to again say thank you for joining us today. I want to open the audience here for Q&As. So if you guys have any questions for Fred specifically about his business experience, please just ask away. Right over here, Scott.
typically in software technology, when I talk to customers, we quickly go into the top 5 things that laundry list, right? What is your laundry list, and what are the top, maybe a couple of things you could talk about?
My top 5 things?
No, not 5, but just a top 1 or 2 that when you wake up in the morning, right, when you have to put those feet on the ground, what are you going, gosh, either I didn't do it right, or I'm gonna do it right, or where's that laundry list for you? Because everyone's got the laundry list.
And you're not speaking about the times when I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning staring at the ceiling screaming, what am I doing with my life?
Oh, thank God.
Grandma said,
How many people have done that?
Oh, Lord. Yeah.
So, other than that, the biggest thing for me is like to get moving. You know, we're out raising capital. We're building software. We're designing things, and I like things to move a lot more quickly than they often should move. So that's one of the big things for me. You know, what can we do today? That's different? How do we handle the people that we're working with now? How do we start orbiting outward and create a new environment? And I think the biggest thing I think about is how do we make this so there's a passion to it, there's a purpose behind it, and it really means something. By the way, you talked about software and your 5 customer list things. I had a company called Path One, and in Path One we created any live HD sporting events that people started seeing. It was our technology that created it, and I was almost booed off the stage a lot of times because we were delivering this over the internet and nobody thought it was possible. Because of the volume of data, it's not like a little video. But we had a top 10 list of what our customers were going to use our product for, and it turned out nothing on our list was on their list. We started talking to our customers, and they had a completely different list of what they wanted compared to what we thought they wanted. So never guess what your customer wants. Ask them.
That's wise. Right over here in the back, black hat. Mm-hmm. I don't know your name, what's up?
Mo.
Mo, what's up, Mo?
What would you advise your younger entrepreneur self? Number 1, and number 2, how would you like to be remembered?
Well, Mo, I'd love for you to remember me and smile when I've changed your business future. But you know, looking at my younger self, by the way, I became I'm on a lot of podcasts and people ask, why did you become an entrepreneur? Like, what's the exciting story behind that? And my story was, I didn't think anybody would hire me. Literally, the last time I worked for somebody else was when I was 20. I started my first company at 21, and had been that way the whole time. So what I would say to my younger entrepreneurial self is save some fucking money. Because like our other friend who became, I think he said 21, he became a millionaire and lost it a couple of years later. I waited till I was 24, and within 2 years, cars and women, and that was gone. So be wise with the money that you get, and be mindful with what you're doing. And don't expect, I think the biggest thing I could tell my younger entrepreneurial self is not every meeting is going to get a check at the end of it. You know, I'd go out, I'd meet with investors and they, wow, that's a great idea, and we'll have to talk about it. And I'd pop the champagne, or back then the weed, and celebrate, and they wouldn't pick up my phone calls after that. So, this is very hard, and it's supposed to be very hard. And that's what I would tell my younger self, that just hang in there and keep going.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
I know we got more.
I got
Right here. Yeah, we'll do, yeah.
a question.
What's your name?
My name is John Gibbons, Fred, and I just want to know where you find venture capitalists that are ready to innovate, and how you navigate towards them, and how you get to where they are to present your concept. It's a concept at first, but with the money on the table, it becomes more than a concept, it becomes a reality and then a venture. So how do you get there?
Well, first you gotta look for the right people at the right time, and the best way is with the right connections. So a warm introduction is always the best way to go. And every single day on LinkedIn, I get 50 people that want to show something to me, and they've just sent out mail to everybody, and those things get thrown away. So you have to take your time. And a lot of people will come back to me and say, God, they really loved it, but they want to see some traction first, or they want to have 10 customers, or we need to have $1 million in revenue. What does that tell you? It tells you you're talking to the wrong damn people, right? Because there are people out there that are looking at pre-revenue. So what you need to have, number one, you need to get AI Fred, because he's free right now. Just call him and he'll tell you what the hell to do, much better than I will. But besides that, you need to find the right target, and you have to have a really well differentiated model. VCs especially are going to want to see billion-dollar ideas with a $10 million execution. We're going to go rule the world, but we're going to start by invading Rhode Island.
It's true. I've been there, trust me.
Rhode Island?
Oh, no, I was thinking I'm gonna take over the world, and I'm like, oh wait, I have to do the dishes.
Yeah, first.
But then you're not, it's not happy at the house either, if you don't do the dishes. Right there in the back, then we'll take one more after you, and then we'll go and eat and be merry tonight, okay? Right there in the back. Gene, I don't know your name again, I'm sorry.
John,
Yes, Joe.
what data did you scrape to make your Fred AI?
My data. I've had, as I said, over 100 million views of my content. So we took all that content. I've been on probably 500 podcasts as a sole guest. We took all of that. We turned all of that into text, different papers that I've written, blogs that I've created. And so this is really interesting about what we're doing. So we literally created a digital double of me, who's smart as fuck, and I use them all the time myself. Like, hey, Fred, what do I do? And it's like, I'm not telling you, you're Fred. And so by having that private layer of data, it becomes really, really compelling. Because think of it this way: ChatGPT will give you an X-ray. I'm giving you a radiologist, right? So we can take that same data that you're going to look at raw. We take it, we interpret it, we analyze it, and within a full quarter of a second, tell you what it is you should be doing. So that's really solid. And we're going to have 5 more faces of Sahara. And by the way, we call it Sahara. Somebody outside talked about the loneliness, I think it might have been you, of being an entrepreneur. We named it Sahara because it's the biggest desert in the world, and you get out there and you're all by yourself, and it's really, really lonely. But there are oases out there, and we're going to lead you to those things. But we're having 5 more, way better than me. I'm trying to get the CEO of Airbnb. We're talking to Michael Siebel, who just left by Combinator. So we're going to have 6 recognizable faces that you can use as your co-founder, and you're going to get real information that you can trust.
That's good. We'll take one more right here, right in the back. Yes, sir.
How do you find the right investor? Because if you have some startup that's not sexy, I mean, AI is sexy, right? Everybody's doing AI today, and my company is storage, right? Data storage, which is important, but it's kind of the utility, right? There's nothing that sexy about storage, but it's a huge market that I'm trying to disrupt. And I've gone through the break, which is part of the when you're dealing with something that's not sexy, but it's a huge market, and you're disrupting a huge market, how do you find this?
Well, disrupting a huge market, I beg to differ, is pretty damn sexy. So and storage is a really great space, and by the way, the needs for that over time are gonna grow exponentially, right? So if you have disruptive technology in that space, you're probably doing what most of us do, just asking anybody with a pulse what they should be doing. You really gotta do your research, like who is it that invests heavily in this space, and start reaching out to them. And I found one thing that's pretty interesting. I don't know if it works for everybody, but Ira and I agree that it works. When you ask for money, a lot of times you're going to get advice. When you ask for advice, you can get money. Because you're opening a door, you're not giving them a cold sales pitch, you're saying, look, you're an expert in this field, in storage, and I really would like you on my advisory board, if not an advisory board, if you just help me out and see what I'm doing and help me build out what I'm doing. If you can start doing that and bringing a couple of people in that are rock stars in that space, then you're well on your way to do it. But just going to all these different events, open events that you don't know who you're going to run into, it makes it hard, and you get frustrated because nobody's saying yes, and fuck, I'm not sexy, I'm not going to go to the prom. You're going to go to the prom, you just got to have the right date. I never went to the prom, by the way.
Well, we got one more right over
That's
here.
because I was in jail.
Yeah.
This isn't a question. With the Brink and Connect, ask them to do research in a database called PitchBook that they pay for,
Yeah, that's good.
that documents all venture deals, and they can help you find the right investors. Just heads up.
I'll say another thing. So corporations, they have specific venture arms off of the corporations that are looking for investments of innovative technology because they want to acquire your business in the future. So, that's why you have to have your IP and everything intact, so you're not just losing all your IP to the company that is wanting to purchase you, but there's strategic capital right there if you already look at the companies that are in your space already that have capital.
Right. And by the way, there's a cheaper one than that, but PitchBook can get pretty expensive. There's something called VC Sheets, and it's almost nothing. If it's not, it may be nothing. That has a lot of good data. You can go and you can scrape it based on the different things that they want. But anybody that's going to go out and pitch, you got to know your shit. You know, everything, the financials, the positioning, what your mode is, you know, how you're going to get to your revenue numbers. Have you spoken to customers? What have those trials been like? You got to know your stuff to open up a pocketbook. If you stumble over any questions, you're not going to get any money.
Well, it's been a good interview. Thank you so much, Fred, for joining us here
Thank you.
tonight. And just give him a round of applause.